Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This is a book summary of The Plant Paradox by Stephen Gundry. We've been told that if we want to live more fruitful lives, we should increase our intake of fruits and vegetables, which we should do. However, just as with animals, all plants are created equal. Some are simply more equal than others in terms of their characteristics. The plant paradox warns us not to make the mistake of assuming that all plants are healthy. By comparing our diets to those of our forefathers and foremothers, we can see what we should be eating and what we should avoid in order to live longer and healthier lives. Stephen Gundry is the director of the Center for Restorative Medicine in California, and he is a leading voice in the fields of diet and health. He has also worked as a professor and a cardiac surgeon in the past. Diets based on whole foods and plants are becoming increasingly popular. Several books, including Fiber Fueled and How Not to Die, extol the virtues of low-carb and high-fiber diets. Gundry, on the other hand, takes a paradoxical approach to plants, arguing that even healthy foods such as fruits and vegetables can be harmful to the body. This does not imply that we should abandon kale in favor of candy, but rather that we should become more critical of our salad bowls and learn how to eat in a completely different way. Why plants don't want to be eaten, how important it is to maintain gut health, what foods we should be eating, and whether or not supplements should be a part of our daily routine are all discussed in this briefer summary. Plants are adamant about not wanting to be eaten. I'm curious how many different eating programs, health plans, and fad diets you've come across. The internet is flooded with diet plans that promise weight loss and a healthier way of life. A slew of diets have been promoted as the ultimate solution to the obesity epidemic, including low-carb, keto, whole food, paleo, and a slew of others. Plant Paradox Program, PPP, is unique in that it examines how foods and products affect our bodies and immune systems rather than just the way they taste or look. The hope is that by learning about the right and wrong plants, we will be able to cultivate better diets and ward off chronic and autoimmune diseases in the future. Gundry asserts that plants have an impressive array of defense mechanisms that they use to protect themselves from potential predators. And it is precisely because of these defense strategies that seemingly virtuous plants such as fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains are rendered less good for us by our bodies. Lectins are one of the most common culprits. Many plant foods contain lectins, which are antinutrients that are believed to contribute to weight gain as well as a variety of chronic diseases in humans. Some people, particularly those who have pre-existing digestive problems, are even more susceptible to the effects of lectins than the general population. There is a lot of confusion because lectins are found in almost every organism, from plants to animals to microbes. Some lectins are safe to consume, while others may be harmful to one's health. Dairy products, beans, and other legumes, wheat and grains, as well as specific vegetables and fruits, are the primary sources of lectins in the standard American diet. This means that foods that we consider to be healthy may actually be the polar opposite of what we believe. Lectin functions as a protective mechanism. If you believe that plants would welcome the opportunity to become our next meal, think again. A family of plant proteins known as lectins, which can be found in the leaves, skins, and grains of most plants, is a critical weapon in their arsenal. Quite simply, plants do not want to be eaten, and who can blame them? Gundry argues. Their instinct, like that of any living thing, is to pass on their genes to the next generation of their species. Animals have evolved defense mechanisms to keep them safe from predators, and plants have evolved a similar strategy to keep themselves and their seeds safe from predators. Plants want to ensure that their species survives, so they have developed a variety of strategies for protecting themselves. Many plants produce toxins, including lectins, that can poison, paralyze, or disorient, or, in some cases, they can simply be difficult to digest, or they can simply be poisonous, paralyzing, or disorienting. Lectins are extremely potent and have the ability to kill bugs. Humans have the advantage of being large, so while lectins may not be fatal to us, they do have a cumulative and harmful effect on our health. It is possible that we will notice an increase in obesity, inflammation, joint pain, diabetes, and other diseases over time. Have you ever had a bad case of brain fog? If you have, it's possible that it's due to the meal you had just before. As a result of their ability to bind so readily to molecules in our bodies, lectins are sometimes referred to as sticky proteins. The sugar molecules in the brain and nerve endings are bound by lectins when we eat lectin-containing foods. This means that cells and nerves are unable to communicate effectively, resulting in a foggy feeling or difficulty concentrating or remembering things. Lectins can also contribute to additional weight gain because they mimic hormones that cause our bodies to respond by storing fat in the form of fat storage cells. Wheat germ agglutinin is an example of a lectin, WGA. It is found in wheat and causes sugar to enter fat cells, where it is converted into fat and causes us to become fat as a result of the process. It was advantageous for our forefathers to have WGA because it allowed them to gain a few extra kilograms during the winter months. They were able to survive cold winters and famines thanks to the so-called wheat belly. Nowadays, we have an abundance of food and heat sources, so only a small proportion of the population is required to gain weight during the winter months. Sticky proteins can also cause holes to form in the intestinal wall barrier, allowing bacteria to enter and attack our immune system through the openings. The result is an increase in inflammation, which makes us more vulnerable to viral and bacterial infections. To be sure, our bodies are equipped with mechanisms for protecting themselves against lectins. Sugars found in saliva and mucus, for example, are recognized by lectins as a natural binding site. It is the goal of these sugars to trap lectins before they reach our digestive tract. Lectins are digested by our stomach acid, and an additional mucus layer on the walls of our intestines serves as a last line of defense, trapping the lectins and preventing them from interfering with the intestinal wall. But the problem is that if we consume a large number of lectins, there is a compound effect that overwhelms our immune system. A brief introduction to biology. Take a quick look at the digestive tract to get a better understanding of how it works. It is estimated that trillions of microbes live in the gastrointestinal tract. In fact, non-human cells account for 90% of all body cells. Microbes are responsible for the conversion of food into energy, and food would be useless to us if they did not exist. Because of this symbiotic relationship, we are reliant on them and they are reliant on us. Microbes can be classified as either beneficial or harmful. Microbes that are harmful to our health interfere with the communication between our gut and brain, causing us to crave sugar and fat. Good microbes aid in digestion, immunity, and the prevention of food cravings. Importantly, beneficial microbes aid in the breakdown of lectins. In addition, lectins increase the permeability of the intestinal tract, making it easier for bacteria and undigested food particles to leak out and enter the bloodstream, organs, and other parts of our body. To visualize this, think of a healthy gut lining as a shag carpet that you can walk on. We absorb all of our nutrients through each shag of microvilli in our intestines, which resembles shag carpeting. Because of the microvilli being worn down, the shag disappears, and we're left with a flat carpeting surface. Leptins work by weakening the defenses in our intestinal tracts, making us more susceptible to illnesses such as Crohn's disease and inflammatory colon disease. Source: Wikipedia. But the problem is that the typical modern American diet is excessively high in lectins. Grain and beans were introduced into our diet as a result of the agricultural revolution, and these foods have since become our primary food source. Whole grains are considered to be a healthy food, and as a result, we include them in our diet. However, all this means is that we are consuming an increased amount of lectins. In addition, we consume more processed food than we ever have in the past. With the increased consumption of genetically modified organisms, GMOs, such as corn, soy, and other crops, we've been exposed to a whole new range of lectins to contend with. Furthermore, we are ingesting more chemicals than we were previously. When we consider the large number of broad-spectrum antibiotics, nonsteroidal anti-inflammatories, sweeteners, and other similar substances, we can see that they are all responsible for destroying the beneficial gut bacteria that aids in the processing and removal of lectins from the body. For the most part, we're stuck in a vicious cycle. Leptins are becoming more difficult for us to process at the same time that we are consuming them in greater quantities than ever. As we now understand that lectins are harmful to us, as well as the fact that our presumed healthy diet is lectin-rich, what can we do to prevent them from causing further harm to us? Gundry offers us his plant paradox diet, which we can follow. It's called the Plant Paradox Program. The PPP is founded on the premise that seemingly insignificant events can have significant consequences. We should worry less about what we add to our diet and more about what we eliminate from it if we want to be healthy. Furthermore, what we don't eat is more important than what we do eat, because eating the wrong foods causes harmful reactions in our bodies when consumed. As a result, what exactly does a lectin-free diet look like? Gundry recommends that you stay away from all legumes. Lentils, peas, and all types of beans fall into this category because they contain the highest concentration of lectin. Additionally, nightshade vegetables, such as tomatoes and eggplant, must be eliminated from our diet. It is also detrimental to any dairy products as well as products containing wheat flour. The benefit of the PPP is that there is no need to count calories as with other diets. As a substitute, we can eat as much of the right foods as we want while still losing weight. It is recommended that we consume pasture-raised meats and eggs, fermented foods such as sauerkraut, limited amounts of fruit, foods high in resistant starches, vegetables that are not members of the nightshade family, and healthy fats such as olive oil. Lectin-containing foods are listed in detail in the book, along with simple substitutes for each food item. We're also given a step-by-step detox and eating plan, as well as simple lectin-free recipes that we can make at home, just like we would in most nutrition books. A high-level overview of the PPP phases of the detoxification and eating plan. In the case of the PPP, there are 3 phases. The first phase consists of a 3-day cleanse. During the cleanse, the goal is to starve the harmful bacteria and prepare our gut to be ready for the next phase of the program. A damaged gut is unable to reap the full benefits of nutritious foods. The concept is to cleanse the gut for 3 days in order to remove any traces of lectin, allowing the gut to begin healing itself. Fruit, legumes, grains, sugar, dairy, seeds, soy, beef, tomatoes, and root vegetables are all off-limits during the 3-day cleanse. The cleanse is not for the faint of heart. And you might be wondering, what am I supposed to eat? You won't go hungry, don't worry. In addition to these, there are numerous other nourishing foods to choose from. Why not start your day with a delicious, body-cleansing green smoothie made with spinach, mint, and avocado to get your metabolism moving? After that, how about some wild-caught fish served with cauliflower, cabbage, or broccoli to round out the day? Following the initial cleanse, Phase 2 consists of a 6-week gut repair period. 6 weeks is the amount of time it takes to establish our new eating habits and begin making significant progress toward gut healing and repair. Several lectin-containing foods can be reintroduced after 6 weeks, and we can continue with Phase 2 indefinitely after that point. But be warned, it's possible that things will get worse before they get better. Expect to have a challenging first 2 weeks. Books such as Eat, Move, Sleep, The Power of Habit, Eat That Frog, and Extreme Ownership, among others, have taught us that changing our habits is difficult. When we make significant dietary and lifestyle changes, we may experience some withdrawal symptoms from the foods that we have eliminated from our diet. Even though you should prepare yourself for a lack of energy, muscle cramps, headaches, and irritability, you should see results by the end of the first 2 weeks of treatment. Once this is accomplished, prepare for Phase 3, during which we will fully embrace the PPP lifestyle. Having restored a healthy microbiome, we can now experiment with reintroducing some lectin-containing foods into our diets. Nonetheless, if you are particularly sensitive to lectins, you may wish to avoid reintroducing them altogether. Implementing a lifestyle that can be maintained for the rest of our lives is what the final phase is all about. In the final phase, in practice, this means that we continue to consume all PPP-approved foods while avoiding the majority of off-limit foods, and that we gradually reintroduce nightshades, squash vegetables, pre-cooked legumes, and white basmati rice. If we are going to reintroduce legumes, we must first cook them thoroughly. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 1/5 of all food poisoning incidents in the United States were caused by bacteria that was left in undercooked legumes. This is due to the fact that legumes, particularly beans, contain the highest concentration of lectins of any other food group. Increasing ketogenic fats such as MCT oil and coconut oil is also essential for weight loss. It is not only about what we eat, but also about how we eat. Make a conscious effort to adopt healthier eating habits, such as eating less frequently and consuming less food overall. Gundry even recommends that we try regular intermittent fasting, which is simply extending the time we spend eating between meals. It's supplements that save the day. While it is important to begin by eliminating harmful foods from our diets, we must also supplement them with additional nutrients. However, because modern foods do not contain the high concentration of nutrients that they did historically, we should turn to supplements for help instead of eating more nutritious foods. Several scientific discoveries were made in 1936 that revealed that the fruits and vegetables consumed by American citizens were deficient in specific vitamins and minerals. Nothing has changed, and the fruits and vegetables we are eating have lost the majority of their nutritional value in comparison to previous generations. According to a 2003 report examining the nutrient value of fruits and vegetables, there has been a steady decline in the amount of vitamins and minerals consumed since 1940. The good news is that we can now compensate for this by taking nutritional supplements. Gundry recommends taking vitamin B12 as well as vitamin D. Vitamin D is required for cell regeneration in intestinal walls, and vitamin B12 is required for the protection of the inner lining of our blood vessels, according to the National Institutes of Health. By taking supplements, we can fill in the gaps that our diet is unable to fill in naturally. Finally, I'd like to say, while public-private partnerships, PPPs, are not for everyone, they do provide us with a great deal of food for thought. Whether we agree with Gundry's recommendations or not, we all need to consider the cumulative effects of our lifestyle and diet choices. Each and everything that we put into our mouths, as well as every time we choose to stay in bed, has a significant impact on our bodies. Diet has a significant impact on our health and well-being, and we have the ability to determine whether we are healthy or sick. According to Gundry, the best diet restricts lectin intake, prioritizes gut health, and is oriented toward the future. Fruit is one of the fruitful takeaways that should be avoided. Examine the vegetables you're consuming in order to avoid falling into a vegetative state and experiencing brain fog. Additionally, to avoid gas, bloating, and indigestion, inquire as to whether you've been eating an excessive amount of beans and legumes. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.